Good morning, everybody. Hugo Martinez here with the Buen Pastor and Monday Morning Pastor. I'm excited about today's episode. I have one of my mentors, my former youth pastor, is going to be joining me today, Javier Valdez. Hopefully you can stick around and get a little bit of insight of what it takes to be a church planter, what it takes to do ministry with your family, being involved. That's some of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today. Brother Javi, if you want to share a little bit about who you are and the ministry that you're in right now.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me this morning. My name is Pastor Javier Valdez from the MMP. I respond to Pittsburgh, Texas. And we're delighted to be here. And I just want to say before we go anything else, I'm so proud of you. And I'm so glad of what God has done in your life.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And I know you've been a big part of my journey. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. But I'm glad that you're here. So part of the reason why you're here, and I had to ask you to be on the podcast with me, is because we're having a conference, and you're a part of the conference. It's La Biblia, and really just how to interpret it. This morning we had a session with Pastor Orlando Rodriguez, and we also have had Dr. Sanlohisa, who's been leading most of the seminars. Just what do you get? What have you gotten so far? What do you think?
Yeah, so far so good. Just so much to take in. Yeah. And I was just telling Brother Orlando before he left, and I'm just so, as far as the hermeneutics part of the preaching, the preparation and everything, man, it's so on point. Brother Johnny, he just, breaking it down from the inductive methods and the observation, interpretation, and the application, and then on the side of that, we're going to go into a little more deeper than that. So far, I'm enjoying it.
So you have the session when we come back from lunch. And so we're in lunch break right now. And so Javi's been very nice to take a little bit of his lunch time to jump on here with me. But yeah, so we're talking about how to interpret the Bible. Dr. Sanlohisa is actually a professor at the seminary here. And so he has a lot to offer. And so if you missed it, the only thing I can say is you better come next year because we're not streaming this. We didn't record it. So if you missed it, you missed it. But yeah, it's been really great. Learning a lot about the methods, and how to interpret the Bible. That's something that I really started to get into last year when I was preaching every single week. I was like, okay, how do I do this? Yeah. And so the style that I tend to gravitate towards is expository. And so I really just take a chapter of the Bible and then we just go verse by verse. And so I've been learning about hermeneutics and what it means to interpret the Bible. And I really like that method because it gives you the context. Instead of like, okay, here's the topic, here's the theme. You have, this is what the Bible was trying to say. Yeah. Not what I'm trying to say. It's what does the Bible say? Yeah. And so I know they talked about that this morning. So we've been here pretty much all morning, being a part of this conference. We had a lot of people come out and they're getting a lot out of it. Anything else that you want to share with the conference?
So I was just thinking when you said that, a couple of years ago, I had some guys come up to me and said, Pastor, I don't see anything, difficult about being a pastor. I think it's just so easy. Just get up there and teach and preach. Anybody can do that. Yeah. But then when I sat down with them and told them about the preparation part of it, and how, it's between, Brother Johnny says only about 24 hours, something like that. But it takes so much time in preparing a message, a sermon, and especially when you have to do a lot of the context of it, the geographical, the history part of it, and things like that. But it's like, so by the time I sat down with them, I showed them the same inductive method, the same thing. And out of maybe 5 of them, like 2 or 3 of them got discouraged, like, oh no, this is a lot more than what I thought. Yeah. But he said it does. It takes a lot of preparation, but it's a good thing because it allows you to really interpret what God is saying, and not so much about what we're thinking, how we're feeling at the moment, but what God is saying.
So these are people that wanted to be pastors.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, they got the calling. They felt the calling of God, and then when I sat down with them and I questioned the calling, well, came to find out they thought that the calling of God is always about being pastors. But then they realized that, calling from God could be a teacher, could be an evangelist, could be a preacher, it could be a lot of things to serve in the church. And that's when they realized. So out of those 5 young men, we have maybe about 2 or 3 of them finally, pretty much say, what, I think the pastoral role will be mine. Or then you had 1 or 2 saying, well, no, that's not me. I was just staying on the behind the scenes and just being more effective that way.
Yeah. And just being in this role for about a year now, it's a lot. It's a lot. And one of the things that I really felt like God was showing me from the get-go was you don't carry the big load. Just do the what I've called you to do on a daily basis. And so that's something that I've shared with some of the viewers here is that it can feel like a lot if you try to do everything on your own.
It does.
But when you say, okay, God, I'm going to take care of what I can, but I'm going to let you do the heavy lifting, that's when you can see people who have been ministering for 30, 40 years. So real quick question, how many years do you have, not just being a pastor, because I know you're a youth pastor also, just in the ministry?
The ministry alone, you're looking at about maybe 34, 35 years of ministry. Yeah. 20 something years to youth. And so everything else just kind of, we do it all. We do it all. Some teacher, evangelism.
Yeah. Well, you've been a really great example to me. We can get into this now. So those of you that don't know, Pastor Javier Valdez was my youth pastor here at the Buen Pastor for about almost 5 years. And so I met Javi, and I was barely getting into the youth. I was a little kid, and I was like, "Who is this guy?" I don't know if you remember what you were wearing, but you had this hat, long coat, and then these shoes. And I was just like, "Who's this guy?" And so it really caught me off guard. But obviously, we got to know each other through the ministry, and I will say you have been a very impactful person. You really, helped mold me as a young man at that time. So many times that I probably was like, I don't really want to be here, but you know what? I have that relationship with Javi, so I'm going to show up. And those were some good moments. Funny enough, and I don't know how you're going to take this, but I have a really hard time remembering a Bible study that you've given, but I remember a lot of the memories that we made. And it's I've heard people say that before. It's not what you don't remember what somebody says necessarily, but how they made you feel. And so that's the case with you. A lot of the things that I remember is, feeling like I can be here, I can be myself. So many late nights that we had in the gym, playing basketball, playing volleyball. Those are the things I remember. But those were the things that really impacted me. Like I want to be like that one day. And so talk a little bit about your time here at the Buen Pastor and what that experience was like.
It's always good to be back home. I feel like I'm at home. But the reason for that was because, and nobody knows this really, but growing up, I had a problem with stuttering. I used to stutter a lot. Okay. And so when I used to try to get my point across, instead of people waiting on me to finish, they would just interrupt me. So I kind of shut down. Yeah. So I didn't talk much, But I remember one person, Tim Allen, he was a pastor, an Anglican pastor in Mesquite, Texas. He took me under his wings. Yeah. And every time I tried to talk to him and everything, and I stuttered, but he would always be so patient. And he just waited on me until I finished my last sentence. And so I learned that, it's not what you say, but it's what you do. Also in the lives of people that people are going to remember you by. Yeah. And I take that as my motto. I may not be the smartest guy in the room, but you know what? But if you have something going on with you, I'm all ears. I love to listen. I just sit there and listen. And sometimes, it's not, I think like I said, it's not what you say many times, but it's what you do. And the people remember that.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. It's interesting. I don't know. I hope one day somebody can come back and be like, well, I don't remember anything you said, but man, the way you made me feel, that's kind of the goal is to kind of emulate that. But yeah, so we had a lot of great memories here, a lot of late nights.
A lot of memories. I came here back in 2004 when we were in the old building. 35. And then, we were so excited when we came to the new building because, I had the gym and everything. And it was just a lot of memories. Just living across the street from here. All the streets, we evangelized all the streets. We reached out to a lot of the communities, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools. And, it was great. A lot of good memories.
Well, we had your son on, AJ, on the podcast already. And one of the things he talked about was the work that y'all did in the community. And so I really want to talk about that today because the viewers, anybody who's been watching, you got to see AJ's point of view from my dad's the pastor or the youth pastor. And here I am kind of following his footsteps. And I know y'all done a lot of ministry together, but what is it like on the other end? So you're the youth pastor and you have your son kind of coming up through the ministry. Obviously your wife is a part of that. What does it take? Because this is one of the first questions I asked you. when I was called to be pastor. I was like, brother, I need to know, how do I handle this? I have my little boy, my wife, obviously. How do I do this? Because it's going to be tough.
Well, in the beginning, when they're little, they're easier because they pretty much follow you wherever you go. But as they get older, you begin to really realize and understand. And as a pastor, and I fell into this trap. I fell into this trap that it was all about God. It was all about the church. Because, I'm in the church, and people in the church are expected a lot from me. And the times I sort of neglected a little bit about my family, my wife, and my children. I remember one time, it was at the church, and we invited, of course, my most from home to our home, to our house. And then AJ was sitting in the sofa in the living room. And out of nowhere, he just says, Bob, 7 days a week, you give these people yourself. But what about me? What about us? When are we going to have a Sunday afternoon just for us as family? Yeah. And that's when I realized, man, here I thought I was being a good pastor, being a good husband, a good father. But for one to hear that from your own child, it kind of made me realize a lot of things. So I was able to balance things even better. I started telling the church this, and I said, look at my mother, if I ever had a choice between the church and my family, I would always choose my family. Yeah. If my family is not happy here, then, I just can't serve. Yeah. But that has been what my motto, and then to this church in Pittsburgh as well, they realize that family means everything. We got good people in Pittsburgh, and they understand that, and I'm so grateful for them too. For that.
Yeah, and then hopefully, I know we tend to focus on the viewers that are in ministry, but if you're at a church and you have a pastor, and obviously they're married, they have kids, I guess one of the things that you're saying is take care of them, make them feel welcome, love on them. If you take care of a pastor's son or a daughter or their wife, you're really, getting to the heart of the pastor. And so I just encourage anybody who's watching, do something nice for them. Even if it's just a card, just say, I really appreciate that you allow your husband to be here and serving, because I know it takes away time from them at home. And so thank you for sharing that. I know that there's a lot more to that, especially with, you said, over 30 years of being in the ministry. There's a lot of times that you have to spend away from family. Sure. One of the things that I've done, at least, is, having off days. So I have this huge blessing of Tuesdays and Thursdays, I get to spend the whole day with my son. From the moment he wakes up all the way till he goes to sleep. We're playing, we go outside, I feed him, he takes a nap. Everything. And so I'm really grateful that I get that opportunity. I know not everybody has that. Yeah. I know some people are bivocational, so it's if I'm not at church, I'm at work. Right. And so I will just say, if you have the opportunity to cut back on some, I wouldn't say luxuries, but let's just say, maybe you don't get the new car, you get a used car. Yeah. That's going to give you more time to be at home. Right. That's something I have to come to realization is, maybe I don't need the latest car, because that gives me more time to be at home, Right. And so I would just encourage, if you're a pastor, prioritize, do I really need to add another expense and put more hours at work, or do I go for something that's a little bit cheaper, which gives me more time to spend with my family, something like that. Another thing that you're doing, this is a little bit more recent, if I'm not mistaken, is you're beginning more of a church planter. Yes. Is that correct?
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm a church planter now. This started about 4.5 years ago. I'm entering my 5th year now, so it'll end pretty soon. Yeah. But we started about 4.5 years ago. It was through the SBTC and NAM, which is the North American Mission Board. I went in. It was a 10-month training, things like that. And then after that, they just go out there and plan a new church. And so we planted one in Dangerfield, Texas, which is about 12 miles from Pittsburgh. And then we moved from Dangerfield to Linden, which is about 40 miles, it's about 35, 40 minutes to drive. And so we're there now, and the church is growing. Church is really growing, and our plan is to start another maybe 5 missions the next 5 years, and that's our vision right now. So we do have a pastor right now that's going to be taking over the Linden mission. So we have, like I said earlier, we have 5 young people young men that answer the call to the Lord, and so we're going to be training them so that maybe I don't know, having them then would be feel the call to go and preach to another church around the East Texas area. So that's our goal right now.
Yeah.
But it's been a fun ride. It's hard because it's two churches. Both churches are showing signs of increasing growth, and of course, more growth, more work. Yeah. And so just pray for us.
No, we definitely be praying for y'all. And I know that we talked a little bit about this a couple months ago, and I'm really interested because our church in particular, we are thinking of doing something similar, where we're looking in this area, potentially south of here, the Joshua area, or maybe north of here, north side. And we know that there's a need for Spanish-speaking churches. One of the things that God has really put on my heart is there's a lot of options for an English speaker. I mean, you have these big churches all in the area. But even though there's a lot of small churches that speak Spanish, they don't typically have the resources. For example, like you had mentioned earlier, we have a gym here. I can't think of a lot of Spanish-speaking churches where you can go and you can bring your youth to play at a gym. And so God really put that on my heart. It's like, how can you make those resources accessible to the Spanish-speaking population? And so one of the things that we're looking at is we're going to have to start planting churches that are going to be able to provide that, you know. And so there's somebody that you had put me in contact with. I don't remember his name.
Eddie Lopez.
Okay.
Yes.
Who is he?
He's one now, which is the North American Mission Board. And then you have Luis Gonzalez with the SBTC, all those guys, Jesse Contreras, Mana, Wally Shelton, Mana, Alicia. I mean, all those people are just great. They're great and good people to go to for any questions and so,
if I'm not mistaken, let's say you get in contact with one of those organizations, typically they will help you get started with training. But is there anything else?
So our transition happened. It was a long process because you had to go and to this training, and then you had to evaluate you also. The convention is there to help support. And so we went through the whole maybe 10, 11 months of training. We would travel other places to get more training, tools so we can apply that to the mission. But yeah, they've been a great support group, and they've been, tremendously a blessing to us. And they still are. I mean, since the very beginning to now, they have not stopped serving, calling us, encouraging us, motivating us. So we're excited. We're excited about that.
That's good. Is there anything that they offer financially to help these churches come?
They do offer some financially, and it's there. You just gotta call them and let them know about it more, and that you're available. But there is financial support there. So it's really a blessing.
Yeah, because I know that's sometimes the worry. It's like, okay, we want to start something, but we know there's going to have to be something that needs to be paid for, whether it's renting a building or even just the pastor's salary.
Yeah.
I know that can always be tough. And so I know that for example, Texas Baptist offers, I believe it's about $1,000 per month, and they go straight to the pastor's salary if this is a new church plant. And so things like that I encourage anybody who's watching, look into it. Yeah, reach out and see who's able to support you, because you're going to need it. Right. It's really difficult to be a part of a church that's already established, let alone a church that's barely getting started. I can only imagine like how much help they're going to need. Yeah,
for sure. And especially over there in East Texas, I mean, there's a lot of rural areas, small towns that are needing churches out there. The biggest churches are the First Baptist of whatever city it is. But very rare to see the Hispanic Mexican church around there. So we're desperately need of some ministers and service.
Okay. Well, we're going to hopefully put your information so that people can reach out to you, because maybe there's somebody that's watching right now. It's like, look, I feel the calling. Maybe they can go out to East Texas and, get some training, maybe even get involved. So tell me real quick, the churches that you are pastoring right now, what are they?
So, I'm the senior pastor of the Very Blessed Baptist State spot in Pittsburgh. And we have 307 Elm Street in Pittsburgh, Texas. And the other one, we're sharing buildings with First Baptist Church in Linden. And we're there every Monday night at 6:30 to about 8 o'clock.
Okay. What is that one?
And it's called, El Faro.
El Faro.
El Faro.
El Faro.
El Faro.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is, in English, the lighthouse.
That's what that means.
The lighthouse
Okay. Yeah,
Baptist
sorry.
Church.
My Spanish is not very good.
Yeah, always one next.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But yeah, we're there. We're there.
That's tough. I mean, so Sunday you're at one church and then Monday.
Yeah, so Sundays over here in Pittsburgh, we're Sundays from 9:30 we have prayer to 10, and 10 o'clock worship services. Sunday school, 11 o'clock to worship, and then Mondays we have at 5 from 6:30 to 8. Tuesday we have prayer from 6:30 to about 7:30 or 8. Wednesday we have Bible study, and Thursdays is our evangelism night. We just go out. And then Friday, we usually just kind of hang out with family.
Yeah.
I try to do my best, just stick with my family, Friday and Saturday, depending on what we have going on. But it's an all thing going on. It's just non-stop.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. We only have one church and we barely keep up. And so 2 churches, that's something else. Okay, so I think we're going to pretty much wrap up, but I always like to kind of throw you a curveball.
Okay.
And so this is nothing crazy, but I don't know if you remember this. I think it was my either junior or senior year in high school, and you're still the youth pastor, and we're gonna go to camp, and you're like, hey, I need some leaders, I need some helpers. And so you're like, Google, how would you like to help me with the money, the finances? And I'm like, I don't know anything about this, but because I respected you, I was like, I really like Javi, sure, like I'll jump in there. And so I was supposed to make sure that as we were fundraising, I'm collecting the money. And then when we get to camp, I'm supposed to be like, okay, here's all the money for camp to pay for camp. And I was like, man, this is a big deal. Like, yeah, it really impacted me because we get there and you're like, okay, it's whatever amount of money that we have to pay. And I'm like, okay, here it is. You paid for it. And I remember, I will never forget what you said afterwards. You're like, this is the first time that we go to camp. And we actually have the money that we need to pay. Like nobody else has to come out of pocket. And I just like, for me, it was like the biggest compliment to know that like I was able to do this. I was able to help. We paid for camp. All the campers came in. And so that just always stuck with me. And I still tell that story to this day because you never realize the impact that you're making by giving somebody an opportunity to serve. And that's really what I wanted to share with you. When you gave me that opportunity, I'm sure maybe in your head, you're like, I don't know if this guy, like, kid can do this. I don't know if he's going to be able to, but you trusted me and I did the best that I could. And that really got me on the path of like, you know what, maybe serving at church is for me, you know? And so thank you for doing that. Maybe you didn't realize the difference that it made in my life, but ever since that moment moving forward, I was like, where else can I serve? Because I love that feeling of being able to do something that wasn't for me, you know? And it's just kind of grown from there.
Well, you know, and for you, I mean, I always saw you as a very level-headed person, very, very mature for your age, very, and so I think that's what kind of pulled me towards you in that area. But I mean, all you guys were blessings. Yeah, you said here, everybody. I mean, you guys have very important role in the singles and in the youth and things like that. So. But yeah, it's a lot of memories. Just,
that's good.
Really good.
Well, one last thing before we sign off. If you want to share anything to some of those former youth that you had that maybe are a little bit at different churches or different places, anything you want to say to them in case they're watching?
Yeah, I kind of wish I would have someone of the only youth here today, you know, but if not, just seek God, just join a church, just get connected with some church and get involved. You know, time is short. This crazy world we live in nowadays, a lot of stuff going on. Just, you can't go wrong, just stick to God, and then you can't go wrong with that. But if you're out there and you're distant yourself or you feel isolated, that nobody cares or loves about, I love you, know that there's a God that made you, created you, and you're perfect in His eyes. So just know that, that God loves you and we love you and we care about you. And this church is always here. Buen Pastor is always been here. And so, guys, if you're out there, come back home. Come home. I mean, if I had the opportunity to, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I hope they'll see it. And yeah, same thing. We're here. We actually just started doing an English service. So if you prefer English and you know you used to be part of that youth group with Javi was here, just know we miss you guys. We'd love to see you again. But thank you, Javi, for taking part of your lunchtime to be here. Hopefully you still have time to eat. But also thank you guys for taking time to watch this. Hopefully you'll keep tuning in and we're able to get something from this episode. But if not, we'll see you guys next time.
Man, God bless.